The sounds of the Bayside, 88.3 Southern FM.
You're with The Dose on 88.3 Southern FM with Stef, and not Mick this week, but our stand-in.
It's Andy Moranis. Fantastic, great to be here. So, sorry, Stef, this is your second show, is that correct?
It is indeed.
And you haven't got Mick. Oh, my God.
He's scarfed it already. He's left us in the lurch.
Off to a great start. But no, we should point out that Mick is actually a comedian, like both of us, and he's out doing a festival show at the moment. So
he is indeed, yes.
Yeah.
So he's what is he? He's on a Never Date a Comedian.
Yeah, he's on that Never Date a Comedian show, which
it's not a great advert for comedy.
It is.
For comedians, I should say.
It is. So. You shouldn't date us. That's what we're trying to say. Anyway.
So, well, look, welcome to The Dose, as Andy's indicating, which I ran straight over, that it is our second week. And for those of you who weren't listening last week, shame on you. No, welcome to the show this week, The Dose. Let's explain what it's about. It's basically your dose of weekly obscure news, obscure sports. We like obscure things. A bit of dodgy weather. And we've got segments like Things That Get My Goat and Tell Him He's Dreamin'. So, and we'll sort of put together a few more segments as time moves on. But I'm glad you've been able to fill in, Andy, because
all good.
Yeah, we haven't worked together for not since Comedy Festival.
Comedy Festival last? 2019.
2019.
We did. Was that your first solo show? Hour?
Yeah, full hour.
For the Comedy Festival, I'm talking about.
I'd done sort of part hours and things. But
me too. But
for the Comedy Festival, it was my first full hour.
We jumped in at the deep end there.
It was indeed. It was a good festival, that one. Really enjoyed it.
Was.
So right before, it was pre-COVID, back when people used to visit the city for, as per normal.
Yep.
Anyway. All right. Anyway, so I think first thing we could I reckon we go to a song and then we take it away with the news. What do you say?
Sounds good.
All right then, no worries. Well, have you listened to Real Big Fish with Beer? My favourite song. One of them.
No, I haven't, but we're about to find out. And
you're back with The Dose. All right. How's it going, Andy?
Yeah, good. Good song. Good start.
Yep. I'm glad you approve. Mick's not curating any of the music this week off, obviously. So let's see if he's listening in, or if he listens to the replay. I'm sure he'll have lots to tell me off of. So anyway, we're going to start with the news. Our first segment. But of course, we're going to leave the regular boring old news to the telly, your standard radio news, all that sort of stuff.
It's all the same.
It is, exactly. It's all doom and gloom and misery. So we're going to treat you to some strange news. And so this week we've got in the headlines, Chechnya bans fast music.
Okay.
Danish hippies fight back against drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
That just conjures up a complete juxtaposition where hippies are fighting against drug dealers. Normally it's an embracement, but anyway.
We'll see how that one.
And the strange world of crocodile hairballs.
Crocodile handballs.
Hairballs.
Hairballs.
Not handballs. Well, that's another.
That's another segment altogether.
It would be crocodile handballs. So I'm going to get straight into Chechnya bans fast music. So this is the report. The Chechnya, the Russian Republic, is said to have ruled that all music should correspond to a tempo of 80 to 116 beats a minute. Now you're a muser. I'm not sure what that translates to. But
that's pretty. Well, anything above like 120 beats a minute is getting pretty quick. It's almost like, techno sort of.
Okay.
But that's going back to like, the Bach and Chopin sort of type stuff.
So what they're basically aiming at is to eliminate all Western rave and techno music. That's going to be banned according to this 80 to 116 beats a minute rule.
Yep.
They've said that all music should correspond to this new rule. Its Culture Ministry has made an announcement. And the new standard of music is relatively slow compared to a lot of modern day stuff, which they're quite pleased with. Their leader has instructed their culture minister to make Chechen music conform to the Chechen mentality. So that's right. We're going to make everything conform. That's right. There's nothing. Right. Of course, it's all about freedom of conforming and borrowing the musical culture from other people is inadmissible. Not yet. Don't be making other people's songs. That's right.
What? Is that your Putin accent? Is
No,
it,
that is my Putin accent.
Right, okay,
That's
okay.
That is the accent I adopt when I feel like inventing something. Right. So what I like about this is that this is the best part. All the artists have been given until June the 1st to rewrite music that doesn't meet the criteria. Right? So so they're going to rework all the music in the country.
Yeah.
By what, in 2 months' time, 3 months' time, to meet the new criteria. That's a lot of rewriting.
I wonder how many people have got working on that.
I'd like to. What boggles my mind is that they're going to be rewriting things. Maybe they've adopted some local versions of Western music. So I'm thinking they'll be rewriting rap songs. You know? Yeah. You know, so instead of "you can't touch this," you know, "niet touch this," and of course it'll be a much slower. Be brr, 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 brr.
Of course.
So.
Yep. And
what else? Instead of blue suede shoes, it'll be brown sheepskin boots. Don't touch my brown sheepskin boots. So. We're trying to theorise what they're going to come up with. I might let you take this one on. The
Danish hippies.
The Danish hippies.
Wow, I'm interested to read this.
Tell us about this, because I want to hear your impressions.
Okay, so the Danish hippies fight back against drug dealers. So Danish hippies tear up Cobblestone Street in fight back against drug dealers. Hippies living in Christiania, an enclave of Copenhagen, have spent decades locking horns with authorities until recent years, but remain plagued by problem drug dealers. Wow.
I'd lived there for a while. Christiania, for a bit of history, is it used to be an army barracks until the 60s in Copenhagen.
How do you pronounce that again?
Christiania.
Oh, Christiania.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's as best as I've gotten.
Okay.
People have said the Danish accent's a bit like, putting marbles in your mouth. So I've never quite managed to emulate it, so don't ask me today.
Okay.
But, anyway, so it's an old army barracks, and when it was abandoned, hippies just moved in and took over, and they've been there ever since, and the government's been trying to get them out. But the crux of this story that gets me is that this is first of all, the hippies are battling the drug dealers in order to try and gain some legitimacy so they don't get kicked out of their enclave. And this is all based around something called Pusher Street, which I imagine is one street where all right here, the criminals openly sold weed and often led to clashes with police and violent confrontations on Pusher Street. So they've had unsuccessful fightbacks over the years to try and stop the drug dealing on Pusher Street. But on the 6th of April, they just decided to tear it up. So because they can't stop the drug dealers from pushing their drugs on the street, they're just removing the street.
Oh, well, fair enough. Just get rid of the source. Go to the source of the problem.
We'll just take the street away.
Take the street, and there's nowhere for them to hang out.
I like it.
And push their drugs. Yeah.
It reminds me of a Croatian uncle of mine who had a tenant that he didn't like very much, and he wanted to get him out of the house, and so he just removed the front door in winter.
Okay.
And a bit like Pusher Street.
Right. Yeah, of course. If you can't close the front door, it's going to be cold outside and inside. Indeed.
All right. And then finally we come to crocodile hairballs.
Hairballs. Sorry, I'll put that thing. Crocodile hairballs.
Hairballs. So apparently, this is from the ABC, the far north. Apparently, pet cats are not the only ones to suffer from hairballs. Crocodiles, have to put up with the same nuisance. Now, apparently, crocs can't. They can eat everything else, bones and feathers and you name it. But small cars, fishing boats,
other crocs,
right? But they can't digest hair.
Okay,
so it just gathers up, and
I've got here in the notes. They grunt, squeeze, dribble, and snort until a repulsive, matte, wet, undigested fur plops onto the carpet.
I think that's the cat one they're referring to.
Oh, right.
If you've got cats, if you got crocs in your house near your carpet, you're in trouble, mate.
Right.
You are being hocked up and squeezed and dribbled.
Okay.
So we do have some notes here, guys. So we're just going through those.
The crocodile hock.
Yes.
Okay.
So apparently, Townsville man Mark McConnell. These are called bezoars, apparently.
Okay.
And he collects the hairballs.
Right.
Imagine that. What?
So like the croc actually, like a cat, just coughs it up.
Coughs it up, yeah. So, like, when it's finished eating however many, locals and, cats and possums and what have yous, it's it just coughs up a fur ball and leaves it behind for this...
For Mark McConnell to take
stick in his hairball collection.
Yeah, and call it art. There we go.
He's... So, was he? There was a bit here. He takes it home and gives it a rinse, apparently, and
as you do,
and he comments, you could throw it against the wall and catch it, and it would still hold together. So it's got some properties still.
Yeah, it's got some elasticity to it.
So
yeah,
apparently one of the bezoars or hairballs they tested had several species of flying fox, wild pig bristles, hare, Papuan wild dog, possums, and human hair, both Caucasian and Melanesian. So he's not a racist, Croc. He doesn't mind who he consumes.
No.
So
that's all good.
So there we go. That's kind of brought things down a little bit, but I will finish off the news segment. I haven't got it written here, but I was reading today a woman in the UK got banned from her church for a woman in the UK got banned from her church for having 800 tattoos.
Okay.
And they had a photo of her, and you couldn't tell where the tattoo started and ended.
Right.
How do they know she's got exactly 800?
800. And what?
Not 799 or 806.
I didn't even know there was a tattoo criteria. So what? She got to 799 and thought, oh, okay, I'll get another one, and then
just
that's when
round
they said,
out to 800.
Enough's enough. No, too many tattoos. You're banned.
Maybe there is. Maybe it's written somewhere in the obscure parts of the Bible that 800 is the limit. Anyways. All right, well, we might take you to a new song and come back to you with our next segment. So,
sounds good.
Money Boss Stones, continuing on with the Scar.
Love it.
And you're back with Andy and Stef.
This is the dose.
With the dose, of course. What else we got on the menu tonight?
Well, we've done a bit of news. Why don't we just go to sports? That's normally the next thing.
No worries.
All right. Obscure sports.
Oh yeah, we had it. This is our second week of obscure sports. Obviously, is second week of our show. I do want to call out. Last week we introduced our listeners to the world of chess boxing.
Chess boxing, okay.
Chess boxing, and which is the result. Well, the way that works is contestants can play games of chess. And in between the games of chess, then they have a round of boxing.
Oh, okay.
And if they get checkmated or knocked out, that determines the loser / winner.
Oh, really? So you can lose. You don't have to just get checkmate. You can actually get knocked out.
That's right. So if you have a really rough game, you can then take your frustrations out on your opponent physically.
It's a bit like ice hockey, is it?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. It's two games in one.
With more cerebral challenge.
Right, okay.
So the reason I've raised this again from last week is I've actually there is a chess boxing association in Australia. I've applied to join. I'm gonna keep our listeners abreast of the happenings of the chess boxing world because I like playing chess on my phone. I don't know if I'm going to be any good in person, but I reckon against chess players, I'm probably going to have an edge in the boxing department.
Maybe.
So, we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, just putting it out there.
Right,
so haven't heard back from the organisers yet. Anyway,
okay. Take
it away with the obscure sports. Anyway.
So the first obscure sport we're going to talk about now is tuna tossing. Tuna tossing.
It's
it's
not X-rated, is it?
No. Well, I don't know. I'm about to read it. Find out. The sport began in South Australia in the small fishing community of Port Lincoln. It was inspired by local fishermen who would toss fish onto their trucks with force and started being used as a way to spice up a local festival.
Right.
So the winner is the person who managed to throw a 20-pound fish the furthest. So nowadays the competition has somewhat become cleaner. Participants use a rubber fish instead. So it's a bit like it's a bit like gumboot throwing.
I guess it is.
Yes, that sort of thing.
I suppose it saves on fuel because if you can throw it at a particular distance, you don't need to bring the truck as close.
No, that's
you can
right.
sort of park it away and
Yeah.
have your Herculean fish flingers, hurl at the
Tuna tossing. Maybe they could.
feet or whatever it is.
We just had like gather round over in South Australia, the AFL. Maybe next year for the gather round they could bring in tuna tossing.
Why's it called gather round? I mean, I'm not much of a football aficionado. So.
I think the idea behind it is that they play all the games in one state. Obviously, it was in South Australia, but let's say Adelaide, but it's thereof of Adelaide. They do it in the school holidays so that everyone from around Australia can gather in one spot and watch all the teams. So all the teams play there, and there's other stuff going on there. And
so you reckon the halftime entertainment could involve a bit of
tuna tossing, maybe at one of the games.
Yeah. Maybe they could just replace the ball with a tuna. I'd like to see that.
That's a different game altogether.
Just kick the tuna around. I say that'd be far more entertaining.
There's a lot of people that aren't really happy with the way the AFL's going at the moment and all that sort of stuff. So maybe that could be like a rival sort of league.
If it can spice up a local festival, it can spice up the footy.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. The next one that we've spotted out there in the weird world of sports, toe wrestling.
Yeah, okay.
And you've probably all done this as kids, or you've had a few too many at a uni party, but this is actually legit sport. Players play this with the same gusto as some take to arm wrestling, and they attempt to pin down their opponent's toes for 3 seconds to be declared a winner.
Right.
They use their bare feet, alternating between obviously bare feet. You wouldn't be able to play it with your shoes on. But there's actually a World Toe Wrestling Championship in the UK. It's been going on since the 70s. And I did Google a photo of the chap beforehand, but unfortunately it's but they showed the chap working out, and he had rubber bands around his toes. And he was giving them a good old, wiggle and friggle and whatever you do with your toes to get them all jazzed up for toe wrestling.
Whatever you got to do for toe wrestling. He's there warming up, and he's got the rocky music in the background.
That's right. He's got these muscular little toes. There you go. So he'd have a bit of kick-off when he goes to in his brisk walks with the extra
the extra bounce.
Muscles.
Toe muscles.
I'd say he would. All right. We've also, we've got the standard hot dog eating contests.
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen one of these?
Yeah, I've seen, not live, but I've seen them on TV and all that sort of stuff, and it's unbelievable how quickly they devour it.
I haven't watched them, but I mean, I did, in my research, there was this woman sat in front of this pile of hot dogs, and she was quite confidently, mid-chew, and 2 in one hand, 1 in the other, and I'm just like, wow, okay. So
yeah, I think the only... I mean, you've got to eat them, the bun and the dog, and you can have water there to.
Is that the trick? Is it?
I think it's
bit of lubrication.
I'm not sure if you can actually drink the water or you can dip the buns in the. I'm not 100% sure, but it helps to sort of scoff it down. I'm not going to go out and say these are the rules. But
no, fair enough.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows of a hot dog eating contest, do contact the dose here at 88.3.
I know the for a while. This is probably going back. The hot dog eating champion. You'd think they'd be big, burly people that can really pack a punch, but the fastest guy was this skinny. I'm going to say American Asian fella,
right?
And he was like the world champ for 8 years running or something like that. And there was nothing of him, but he was just able to devour them.
So he was just all stomach. He was just
put it away.
He's just a bag on legs.
It just didn't look right. Like and his contestants around him were 3 or 4 times the size of him, but he was just that fast.
I'm in the bigger department, and I don't think I could eat 20 hot dogs or whatever. I've seen those.
No,
those try and put away. So, all right, and lastly, in our obscure sports, man versus horse. What do you make of this?
Man versus horse
marathon. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's. I'll just read a little bit of it so we can see what we're talking about. The marathon began as a way to settle a pub argument in 1979 when Welsh locals Gordon Green and Glenn Hones wondered who would win a marathon, a horse or a man. Ever since then, a 22-mile, 35.4k for the metric people. Marathon is held in Welshtown, Wales, with both men and horses running. Men have won on 2 occasions, but it usually goes to the horse. Surprise, surprise.
Who on earth won the 2 occasions, I'd like to know?
Well, I don't know.
Did they... Were they artificially
I don't know.
enhanced? Were they?
I dare say maybe the horses that year might have broken down. I don't know.
Someone slipped the horse something in there.
Well, I don't know.
Who knows? Bit of far lappery.
Yeah.
You know,
but they're eligible, it says here, to a $40,000 cash prize if a human wins. And if the horse wins, well, they'll just get a bag of oats, I think.
I suppose so, yeah. Well, what are they going to do for $40,000?
I don't know.
Buy themselves a better stable.
Yeah.
More whips.
Don't know.
It's there's a lot of, you know, I can see why drinking is considered dangerous sometimes, because if a drinking session in 1979 results in a man versus horse race for the next 45 odd years, you can start to understand why they're sort of, maybe we should just have a few less, you know, drink responsibly.
Yep.
There's I remember there was a and again coming out of England a few years ago, they released the UFO reports. So they've been gathering up all these UFO data for years and years, and finally the Home Office had enough of trying to keep the lid on it. So they said, fine, you people want to know about the UFOs we've seen, here's all the data, enjoy yourself.
Yep.
And so the newspapers combed through it all, and they found that there was a truckload of news of reports of UFOs from a pub on the outskirts of London that just happened to be near Heathrow Airport. So can you just imagine every time these drinkers had seen another plane that's going to be ringing up going, is that the Home Office? We're seeing another one. There's another one in the air. It's coming now.
Oh, jeez. There. Well, there you go.
All right. Well, we'll take you to another song.
Time for a song.
It is. We're halfway through the show, so here we are with Save Ferris. Come on, Eileen. All right, you're with The Dose here on 88.3 Southern FM. That was Come on, Eileen by Save Ferris. A remake. Redo. Is it redo or remake?
Remake. Well, a redo of the famous hit made famous by the Dexys Midnight Runners, I believe.
Ah,
there we go. Irish group.
Some encyclopedic knowledge there.
I think pretty much it was a one-hit wonder for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's probably the only song you know by them.
You're an expert of one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
All right. I might. You'd be good. Obviously, you're good at trivia because I know you've.
Things trivia. With music is probably my special subject.
Okay.
Things about that. Yeah. Anyway.
Right. This brings us to a segment called "Things That Get My Goat." So. Things that rub you up the wrong way, get you annoyed, the stuff that grinds your gears. So I have a lot of things that grind my gears and give me the irrits. So there's a lot of studies and a lot of things out there about this sort of stuff. But my one is I guess really simple: wrong way toilet paper.
Wow.
Right, I mean, it's tiny, it's small, but it's, when they...
This is how you really get to know a person. Right. Do you pull from the front or do you pull from the back? What do you?
It makes sense to pull from the front because then you're not sort of scrubbling, reaching your hand behind the roll.
Like I'm definitely a pull from the front person. But
makes sense.
But the argument for pulling from the back...
Oh, there is an argument.
Yeah, there is an argument. So that if you pull down from the back and it's lean... I mean, a toilet roll holder is normally right up against... I mean, it's screwed into, access where the toilet is. It's on the wall. So if you pull the toilet roll paper down from the back, you actually... It's easier to tear it with the back of your hand. That's the argument for it.
So that's the idea, right?
That's the idea behind it.
Okay, because I visit the public lavatories here and there when I have to, and at work, and I'm thinking, I was just thinking there. I went today, and that's what got me.
Yep.
And I've seen that, and I've seen it what I consider the wrong way around against the wall.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, I mean, I know not a lot of people aspire to replace toilet paper in public lavatories for a living, and I realise it's not that lofty a career option. But if you're going to do it right. I still think it should be from the front. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
But...
I mean...
And the worst of it is they had two.
Yeah.
So they could have given me a choice.
Right.
We
But
could
they
have
were,
had a frontie and a backie.
what, so they were both back?
They're both backies.
Okay.
You know,
So obviously the person who put them in was obviously a backie.
they're a backie.
They're a backie. And maybe what you need to do is go around to all the public toilets around Australia and just turn them around, the toilet roll bandit. You know what's even worse than obviously having the toilet roll front or back?
What?
It's having the empty toilet roll
Oh, no.
on the floor. And
Oh,
like,
no.
one's not enough. Let's go for 17. Why not? I mean, prominent in maybe rental properties and when you're doing share houses, where it's not your own place, people just tend... Well, look, I don't know. Even if some people that do own their own houses probably do that as well. But that's probably another... That's a subclause statement of things that get up my goat. I mean, how hard is it to dispose of the empty toilet roll? You know, I mean, obviously you can get the new toilet roll.
Yeah.
If you've gone to that much trouble, how hard is it to dispose of the empty
Well, definitely
toilet roll?
don't shove it down the bog because
No.
I've spent my weekend was I guess I'm a little toilet obsessed not because my weekend was spent because in that department because my plumbing backed up.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that.
I
That's
couldn't
right.
leave the house.
Right.
I was cleaning a bit of a disaster there. So
Right, okay.
if you've got pipes as old as my house, you're probably going to be
Going to run into a few issues.
yeah, you're going to have issues like myself. So that was my my lovely weekend. But I don't just obsess about toilet paper. I mean, the other thing that gets me is hidden road signs. Now, I'm one of these old
Okay.
school people. I don't use the navigator in the car. I try and look at the road rather than my dashboard. And because now everyone's got the navigators and that, the council's just like, we don't need to put signs up.
Really?
Yeah.
It's becoming worse and worse.
It is worse and worse because trees are overgrowing the signs and that, and the councils aren't trimming them back, and so you don't know where you are half the time.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, hang on, that's meant to be a side street. Is that such and such street? Or because I'll look in the map and memorise it, and then I'll be like, where am I? I don't know. And then I have to pull out my phone, of course, and I don't want to do that. And so obviously I pull over if the police are listening. And I do it responsibly, but I don't want to have to do it in the first place, but I'm forced to.
So Steph, have you still got a Melways?
I do.
You do. Now, for our younger listeners, they would have no idea what a Melways is.
No,
What is a Mel? Just explain quickly.
It is a book of maps that
Yep.
helps you get around Melbourne.
Yep.
Hence Melways.
Yes. There you go.
This is an important point to note that I didn't know. Well, I didn't realise because when I was a fresh-faced 19-year-old, I drove up to Sydney.
Yep.
And I didn't realise that it became Sidways up there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But anyways, I wasn't the only one because upon arrival in Sydney about 3 a.m, I was eating some servo reheated food as you do, and this taxi pulls up, and out bursts this guy covered in blood with a torn shirt from the taxi, and he runs into the servo and goes, "Have you got a Melways?" And so I looked at my brother who was with me at the time, and I go, "Melburnian."
There you go.
Very rough Melburnian because the taxi just took off, didn't even wait for the guy to come back and pay him. I think the taxi driver was rather scared of him.
Yeah. The younger generation will never know what we had to go through because when you're connecting one map to another, you don't just turn the page. So if you live on map, say, well, let's take where we are now, Southern FM. I believe it's map 67 in the old Melways. But if you go to the next next page, it's not necessarily continuing on. You might have to go to map 102.
Yeah. 68 will be another suburb.
Another suburb altogether. Yeah.
So it's not contiguous.
Yeah.
No. So I do remember that. I do know that frustration. I don't tend to use the Melways as much. I mean, I still use it just occasionally, but the frustration of it's a different map and flicking through it in the middle of the night trying to get to a gig.
But I tell you, even with using the apps on your phone and the ones that they have in your car now these days with your maps, they're sometimes not always 100%. Well, I find that sometimes if you got to turn left and it's coming up, you're on a freeway and you're supposed to take the first left, but you accidentally take the second, but you should have taken the first left, and then you don't know where you are anyway. Because anyway, I don't think it's what you're doing is probably the best, memorising the maps and the way to go.
No worries.
88.3 Southern FM.
Okay, welcome to The Dose on 88.3. So, Andy, what are some of your goats?
Look,
gear grinds.
I think, the way that we're going now, this actually, we were just talking during the ads just then, Stef and I, we were talking about self-service checkouts. Well, it's almost like, it's a lot of, in retail, it's a lot of self-service everything. Let me just elaborate here. I was just talking to my mum when I got home from work. She was talking, she went down to Southland, into David Jones there. Southland being the local shopping centre here, and she was trying to get some assistance to buy something, and there was just no one around.
In David Jones,
in David Jones, yeah.
That's the place you'd expect them to be falling over you
exactly,
to buy the $300 clothing items they're flogging.
I mean, I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing or it's a combination of that and self-service checkouts, because everyone wants you to do things yourself. You know, you get your items, whatever it is, you go to the checkout and you do it all yourself. But more often than not, when you're doing that, something doesn't work and you need to get the assistance of someone anyway, and they come and help you anyway.
Do you actually use the self-service?
I use both, depending on... I'll try and always use... if I go to the supermarket, that is, I'll always try and find someone.
Because I found that they've got this sneaky way of making you use the self-serve. I mean, aside from having them there, what I've noticed is they'll intentionally just walk away from the manned registers.
Yep.
And just leave them empty. So you think, oh, well, I can't go to those. I'll have to go to the self-serve.
Yeah.
And so I found if I just go to one of the manned registers and stand there long enough, eventually you see them sort of drudge over. Oh, well, I guess I better do some work.
Yeah, well, that's what you're getting paid for, isn't it? Or maybe not.
Well, I think it's not entirely their fault, I guess. It is their corporate overlords who are instigating this thing. But
well, it's all about cost cutting and saving money.
It is cheeky, though, you know.
Yeah.
Come in, pick the stuff, put it in the trolley.
Yeah.
You know, take it there, scan it yourself, bag it yourself.
Yep.
We're going to charge you for the bags.
Well, I mean,
get the hell out of my store.
Not whether we're condoning this or anything, but like shoplifting has gone skyrocketing because of all the self-service stuff. I mean, people, that old chestnut putting through apples as onions, or the less expensive substitute,
the fancy fruit, as peanuts. I know what you mean.
They must be losing heaps.
Well, there's been a bit of backlash against a certain supermarket beginning with C, where they've gone and put these barriers in so you can't get out. But the thing is, have you encountered these barriers?
Yeah, there's one at Coles at Southland. Yeah.
Right. You know they can just push out of the way.
Well, you can, yeah.
So I approach them the way the swingy gates they got at the entrance of the supermarket.
Sure.
Where you approach it with a trolley and it detects you and they fling open.
fling open.
Well, I've approached these gates at the same sort of speed. So I'm not ramming them, but I'm just sort of approaching them at a gentle walking pace. And if they don't open, I just keep going. And then they're on wheels, so they just push out of the way.
Oh, right. I haven't encountered one that hasn't opened, but... Wow, that's...
Yeah, so they just... No, I've encountered loads that don't open, and they just push out of the way, and then I've got some very disgruntled security guys that have to reposition them to make it all look secure again. But,
yeah.
So, anyways. All right. We've also got some items that I've spotted on Facebook. I don't know if are you a bit of a Facebook marketer?
I actually just bought something on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, what did you get on Facebook Market?
I bought a guitar, a Gibson Flying V.
Nice. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm not much for guitars.
Okay.
It could be a terrible guitar.
No, it's an obscure guitar that sort of came out in the 50s when most of the guitars were manufactured, electric guitars, that is.
So it's got that rockabilly sound to
it?
Yeah,
so it's the shape of a V. It's not rockabilly sound. It's more it's got that how would I, like an old 60s, 70s style fuzzy sort of sound to it.
Bit of distortion.
Yeah, well, that's all effects.
Bit of Lenny Kravitz style thing?
Exactly, Lenny Kravitz. He uses one on the song Are You Gonna Go My Way?
Oh, I see. We might actually we'll play that a little bit later on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I do. I'm watching a few things at the moment. They are guitars too.
This sort of brings us into a segment which we'll carry on for the rest of the night called "Tell Him He's Dreamin'."
Oh,
so
tell him he's dreaming.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Yep.
So this, so some of the items I've managed to dig up on Facebook Marketplace is a pallet of mee goreng noodles. You can buy this in Watsonia, Melbourne.
Yep.
For only $1,999. An entire pallet of noodles.
So how much are you saving in that?
I'm not sure exactly what you're saving, but you're getting nearly 6,000 packets of noodles.
Well, I reckon
$2,000.
I do like mee goreng noodles, and I'm just trying to calculate whether I reckon I've had a pallet's worth in my lifetime. Probably have, probably a couple of pallets.
All you need to do, if you enjoy mee goreng noodles, now I would say the average person could probably comfortably put away around 2 packets of noodles a day.
Oh, easy.
Now, anything more than that, I think you're gonna find yourself mee gorenged out.
Yeah.
Right. So all you got to do is find 18 of your closest buddies to pitch in for this.
Right.
And you've got 2 packets of noodles each day from today until when these things go off, which is on the 9th of September.
Nah.
So I've done the calculations.
Noodles never go off.
Well, according to the seller, these go off on the 9th of September.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if they turn into, I don't know, bad goreng noodles on that day, but they just dry it a little bit too much, or little packets of the squeezy nasty stuff
right.
turns into congeals and turns into a solid.
Okay.
Who knows what it could be. But, you need 19 people. So I've done the division, so 5,760 packets of noodles, 154 days. It's just under 2 packets a day for 19 people.
Well, there you go.
So
that's perfect.
just you and 18 friends
Yep.
who happen to like mee goreng noodles.
What else?
Facebook bargains.
What else are the obscure Facebook things have you seen?
Well, I've definitely found a castle-like one here. Roman chariots.
Yep.
Roman chariot. Only $250 each. Some of the features, they come with a wood base and wheels. The seller notes they're very economical. They don't take petrol, diesel, or gas.
Okay.
And they don't even need recharging. Completely pollutionless.
Well, they just need a horse to pull it, don't
Need a horse or an unwilling friend.
they? Right. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Underlay.
underlay indeed, exactly. So, a carpenter.
Okay.
Underlay. No, that's a good old dad joke.
Here we go. There's another one here. Church pews
Church pews.
in Warburton. 5 metre wide church pews. $100 each. That's. I don't know if that's a good deal or not. I can't say I've ever got a church pew in my life.
Is that a good?
I've
Is that
sat
a
in
good
one,
deal on
but-
church pews? Oh, yeah,
I
you're
don't
right. That is a conundrum. I mean, what do they
It
normally
is.
go for?
I don't know.
It's
Well,
what do they normally sell for?
I don't know. I always thought stuff in churches get donated. I don't know.
Well, they're not so quick to donate them back to the community though. So $100 each for these 5 metre wide church pews. You're going to need a sizable trailer, I imagine. I can't say the market for second-hand church pews would be all that competitive. I reckon if you're into your church pews, you got your pick of pews.
You've got your absolute pick of pew. Depends what sort of church you're putting. If it's a modern church, you'd probably get your own ones. But if you wanted to go, something to go with the style of the church, if it's an old one, yeah, sure,
Something
why
that's
not get a second-hand one?
Well worn with the backsides of the church-going public.
The church-going public.
Yeah. All right. What else we found here? I've if you're sort of getting a bit bored on the weekends, in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, a fellow is selling a HZ windowless panel van that advertises itself as the key to matrimonial bliss. He writes, "Sick of being annoyed by the wife? Now is the perfect opportunity to buy this HZ panel van and sit in the shed restoring it." Hours and hours of fun.
Wow.
So he just that's his solution for marital bliss is just get out of each other's faces.
Yep.
So,
honey, if you want me, I'll be in the shed.
indeed. All right. I think we might go to a quick song and before we get things wrapped up.
Sure.
So All right. You're with the Dose, Andy and Stef. Andy standing in for the fabulous Mick, who is off dating, so he'll be back next week. I guess we just want to thank you for listening in this week at our second episode. Thank you very much for standing in, Andy. It's been a pleasure, mate.
My pleasure, Stef. Anytime.
Yeah, so are you doing anything this festival you want to quickly say?
No, I'm actually flying up to Sydney next week to do some shows up there during the Melbourne Comedy Festival. I know that's weird, but that's what I'm doing.
All right, awesome. Well, best of luck with those shows, and we hope to have you back on this show in the near. And
sure.
Till then, thank you all for listening, and good night, and
we'll see you all next time.
See you next time.